I'm Lindstrom. I went in June or July of 1952 in the Army. And first we went through Formosa, which was an interesting island. It was a volcanic island. And I remember natives coming out in their ship, getting garbage from the ship. And then we went to Okinawa, and I remember the water being so blue and seeing some landing craft that were still in the water, damaged in the water. And then went on to Yokohama, to our base in Tokyo, which was the Far East headquarters for the Army Security Agency, and we spent a few days there and some time in Tokyo, which was really interesting because it was a very modern, very nice city. At that time we saw the Imperial Hotel, which was quite a famous hotel. Then we ended up all going over to Seoul, then spent time in the 501st Com Recon in Seoul, which was an old school building that had been shot up, but we had rooms in the school building. This was the headquarters offices, our chow line and our kitchen. But at the time, they discovered that my top secret clearance hadn't followed me overseas, and it had been lost to send through for another top secret clearance. During that time, I couldn't do anything, so I spent a lot of time pulling guard duty and getting to drive a Jeep through the streets of Seoul from our compound up to the officers' headquarters and checking with the Korean guards up there, which was always kind of fun. I would frequently walk downtown along a main street to the PX and always take my camera with me, and got a lot of good pictures of natives and workers and families and kids, and a lot of pictures of people and what they were doing, and the kids, and especially interested in the kids. And the school kids wore special uniforms, and I don't know whether they were a special class of kids, because so many of the kids didn't even have clothes. So I wasn't really aware of the social makeup of the city. Once I remember walking up many stairs up a mountain, and on the top of the mountain was a place where they had held certain events. And the day I walked up there, they were having a wedding up there. And I remember the participants really wanted their pictures taken. And the kids wanted their pictures. And they were all dressed up. Even the guy, the groom, had what looked to be a tuxedo. So I got a lot of pictures taken that way. Country's capital and Sigmund Rhee's home, which was close to our compound. I think it was then that I was due for an R&R leave. And I went to Kyoto, Japan, which had been originally the capital of Japan, and it was home of a lot of temples and pretty cherry blossom trees and that kind of thing. And then my secret clearance got through, and they sent me to another base that was an operating security agency base called Wijambu. The facilities weren't quite as nice. We had to stay in tents, but we had stoves. We had houseboys that scrubbed our wooden floor all the time. In both places, in Seoul and in Wijambu, the houseboys would take our laundry and bring them to, we call them mama-sans, and they washed them in the open stream, pounding them on the rocks, and amazingly got very clean. I think a lot of the houseboys really wanted to get familiar with Americans and our way of life, and maybe have dreams or hopes of themselves going to America. But my time was soon up, and I got ready to head back to the United States, and I left there in 1954. And that's about my extent of my service time, but I've always looked back on my time in the Army and thought I really grew up more in the Army than I ever did in college. And I really considered it a very valuable experience.